Tonight, I ask you to close your eyes and breathe, slowly, deeply, once to release the noise of the world, twice to silence the doubts that whisper within, and a third time to open the door of your deeper mind, the part of you that remembers truth when all else forgets. What you are about to hear is not entertainment. It is instruction for the soul. These words were not written for the curious, nor for those who seek amusement before sleep. They are for the few, the rare souls who understand that wealth is not gathered by hands but by vibration. Tonight, I will speak to you of 7 laws, not secrets, not luck. Laws. Laws as old as the world itself, obeyed by those who possess great fortunes, and violated, often unknowingly, by those who remain in want. I do not offer you new theories. I offer you principles, tested by the lives of men who built empires out of thought, and turned invisible desire into visible results. As you listen, remember this: money is not a substance. It is a reflection. It flows toward those whose minds are organized, whose emotions are calm, and whose faith burns quietly beneath their daily work. To the man who aligns with these laws, money arrives as effortlessly as water seeks the river's path. To the one who resists them, no labor, no education, no chance can compensate. So I invite you now not to hear these words with your ears, but to receive them with your spirit. Every phrase carries an energy. Every pause is a breath between worlds, the seen and the unseen, the thought and its material echo. Listen as one who has been chosen to remember, for what I reveal tonight has been whispered in boardrooms and country estates, behind doors that never open to the public eye. Those who have mastered these laws rarely speak of them, not from greed, but from understanding. They know that power is diluted by noise, and that the greatest wealth grows in silence. I learned these laws not from books, but from men who shaped nations with industry and imagination. They spoke little, they observed much, and from their calm certainty, I discovered that the wealthy live by a code the world does not teach. It is a code of thought, of speech, of action, unseen by the casual observer, yet written into every result they create. And now, I pass it to you. Take another breath. Let your shoulders soften. Feel the quiet strength beneath your skin, the power that has always been yours, waiting to be organized. In the stillness of this moment, repeat silently, I am ready to learn. I am ready to receive. Because what follows is a ceremony of remembrance, a restoration of your rightful command over wealth, purpose, and peace. These are the 7 rules millionaires follow, but never discuss publicly. Each one is a pillar in the unseen temple of prosperity. Each one must be understood, felt, and lived, not merely known. So remain still. Let the night become your classroom. And as the mind grows calm, the spirit shall begin to hear. Now we begin. Before we begin, I invite you to take a moment of intention. Write the words, I attract wealth. Do it not as superstition, but as command. For when you declare it, your subconscious begins to align, and the laws you are about to hear will take deeper root within you. Now, breathe, and let the lesson begin. Before you can receive the laws of wealth, you must first meet its oldest enemy. It does not wear chains or rags. It does not arrive at your door demanding entry. It lives quietly, within, disguised as your own thoughts. I have seen this enemy ruin men of great talent, noble birth, and fine education. It has robbed families of comfort and nations of progress. And yet it is not money's absence that makes men poor. It is poverty of thought, a habit of believing in limits, a quiet worship of fear. Fear is the silent poverty of the mind. It whispers, wait until the time is right. It says, be careful. Success is dangerous. It convinces you to stay small, to seek approval, to imitate rather than create. When fear rules the mind, faith is dismissed as fantasy, and opportunity passes unrecognized, like a friend unseen in the fog. You may labor hard, but your efforts scatter like seeds upon stone, because wealth does not obey hands. It obeys vibration, and the vibration of fear repels what the vibration of faith attracts. You cannot attract the sun while hiding underground. You cannot summon abundance while rehearsing failure. The soil of your mind must be cleared of weeds before the crop can grow. There are 4 weeds most men never pull. The first is indecision, the failure to choose. It leaves the mind open to invasion by every passing doubt. The second is worry, the imagination misused, turning energy against its master. The third is criticism, the urge to diminish others, which secretly trains the mind to expect smallness in itself. And the fourth is mental gossip, the restless chatter of triviality that drains the current of purpose. These are the subtle thieves of fortune. They require no violence, only repetition. Repeat a fear, and it becomes a belief. Repeat a belief, and it becomes a law, the personal law by which your subconscious must obey. I have watched men sit upon gold mines and die in poverty because their minds could not believe in wealth. They read of opportunity, but saw only risk. They prayed for abundance while fearing its responsibility. They waited for the world to change before they dared to change themselves. But wealth does not come to the waiting. It comes to the willing. To those who dare to think richly before riches arrive. To those who train the mind to see possibility in every challenge, and to speak of victory while others whisper defeat. So tonight I ask you to begin this cleansing. When fear rises, call it by name. When doubt speaks, answer it with action. When gossip tempts, remain silent. And when indecision knocks, decide, even if the path is dimly lit. Say within yourself, calmly and firmly, I shall think richly, speak sparingly, act decisively. Repeat it again. Let the words sink deeper than thought into faith. For it is not the clever who become rich, but the clear, not the fortunate, but the disciplined. The soil of your destiny waits for one thing, a mind freed from poverty, ready to plant new seed. And so we clear the ground now in silence. The first rule of wealth is readiness. The enemy has been named. Now the builder may begin his work. The first law is the foundation of all achievement. Without it, even genius becomes wasted motion. It is called the law of definite aim. Every fortune, every empire, every invention began in the same way, with a mind that decided, a mind that chose one target and refused to divide its attention. Most men drift through life like ships without rudders, their energy scattered among too many desires, their wills diluted by constant change. They start one thing and abandon it for another. They chase opportunity rather than becoming opportunity itself. But the millionaire, the true creator, lives by a single law. He decides once, and then the world rearranges itself to honor that decision. I recall the story of Edwin C. Barnes, a young man with no money, no education, and no powerful friends. He had but one thought: to become a business partner of Thomas Edison. Not an employee, not a clerk, but a partner. Those who heard him laughed. How will you do that? They asked. You have nothing. But Barnes possessed the one quality that outweighs every form of lack: definiteness of purpose. He did not know how he would achieve it. He only knew that he would. He bought a train ticket with borrowed money, rode in a freight car to New Jersey, and walked to Edison's laboratory. When he arrived, he looked like a tramp. But Edison saw something in his eyes, the fire of decision, and gave him a chance as a lowly worker. For months, Barnes swept floors, polished machines, and carried messages, but his thought never wavered. He repeated daily, I am a partner of Thomas Edison. He believed it so strongly that even his subconscious began to act upon that belief. One day, Edison needed someone to sell a new machine, the Ediphone. No one in his organization had faith in it, but Barnes stepped forward. He saw in it a fortune. He sold the machine with such conviction that Edison soon made him his official partner in distribution. From that day, the name Barnes became permanently linked with Edison, and his fortune began. The world calls this coincidence. I call it law. For the mind that holds a single, unwavering purpose becomes a magnet for the conditions, people, and opportunities required to fulfill it. Your subconscious mind is not designed to interpret confusion. It needs one clear instruction, one order that it can obey without interference. When you say, I want many things, it waits. When you say, I want this, it begins to work. So tonight, decide what you truly desire, not what pleases others, not what sounds reasonable, but that one purpose that makes your heart quicken when you think of it. Write it on paper, not in vague terms, but in language that commands. Then each morning upon waking and each night before sleep, read it aloud with feeling, until the words become more than sounds, until they feel like truth. This is not mere suggestion, it is the process by which thought becomes fact. You are engraving the image upon the deeper layers of your consciousness, where no doubt can erase it, and in time, your outer world will be shaped by the inner picture you have chosen to hold. Now close your eyes for a moment. Imagine before you a tall, silent door, polished wood, carved with golden letters spelling your purpose. Perhaps it reads freedom, or mastery, or wealth through service. Whatever it says, see it clearly. Approach the door slowly. Feel the air change as you move closer. Place your hand upon the handle. The moment you touch it, the door begins to open, not because of force, but because of certainty, and behind it lies the path that has been waiting for your decision. Step through. Take a deep breath. You have entered the field of definiteness, where hesitation dies and purpose begins. Repeat softly with me. My aim is definite, therefore resources arrange themselves. Say it once more. Feel the truth of it echo within you. The world does not resist the man who knows what he wants. It yields to him. So let your mind be still, your aim firm, your spirit steady, for the moment of decision is the moment your destiny begins to move. The second rule is one most men never understand. Yet it decides who shall receive wealth and who shall merely desire it. It is the law of inner credit before outer capital. You may think that riches flow to those with fine connections, large loans, or inherited trust. But I have seen many a man begin with gold and lose it all because he lacks something far more valuable: trust in himself. Before the banker will lend to you, your subconscious must first believe you are worthy of being lent to. Before others will invest in your ideas, you must become the kind of man whose word is collateral. A man's fortune begins not in a vault, but in his reputation before his own mind. Let me tell you of one such man. Years ago, I knew a humble craftsman, a quiet cabinet maker who worked in a small town far from the centers of business. He had no wealthy patrons, no advertising, no inheritance. But he had one quality that wealth cannot resist: integrity expressed through action. Every table he built, every clock he repaired, he delivered exactly when he said he would. Not a day later, not an hour later. If he promised a client Tuesday at noon, the work arrived Tuesday at noon. If a problem arose, he would write to explain it honestly and offer restitution before it was demanded. This man's shop was modest, yet his waiting list was long. One day, a wealthy visitor from the city ordered a custom desk. When it was delivered precisely on the hour promised, the man asked the craftsman, "How do you keep such perfection in time and quality?" The craftsman smiled and said, "I never break my promises, not to my clients and not to myself. If I say I'll do it, I do it. That is my real credit." The visitor said nothing more. But 2 months later, he returned, not to buy, but to invest. He offered the craftsman enough money to open a larger workshop and export his furniture abroad. When I later asked the investor what had inspired his decision, he answered, "I trust a man who keeps his word as faithfully as he keeps his clock." You see, the craftsman had earned his inner credit long before his outer capital appeared. He had established a vibration of reliability, and money, being energy, simply flowed to match it. Your mind works the same way. When you break a promise to yourself to rise early, to study, to finish that plan, your subconscious takes note. It withdraws its trust. And soon, doubt creeps in. Can I really do this? Can I be trusted to finish? The man who cannot believe himself cannot convince another. But when you do what you say you will do, something invisible happens. Your inner account grows. Confidence accumulates like interest, and the world, sensing this harmony, begins to lend its faith to you as well. Success does not come by demand. It comes by trust, and trust begins in the smallest kept promise. So I ask you to begin tonight a small yet sacred practice, a ledger of promises. Take a simple notebook. On one side, write every promise you make, even the smallest. On the other side, mark the date you fulfill it. Do not let any promise expire unpaid. Each check mark you write becomes a deposit in your invisible bank of self-respect. And as that account grows, so will the willingness of others to invest their time, faith, and money in you. For the universe itself is an accountant of integrity. It records not your wishes, but your consistencies. When your words and your deeds balance perfectly, abundance recognizes your signature and pays in full. Now, take a deep breath and repeat after me, slowly. I keep my word, money keeps mine. Say it again. Let it sink beyond the surface of your thoughts into the chambers of the will. Because every fortune begins with a promise kept, and every promise kept becomes the seed of trust from which wealth inevitably grows. The third rule is one of the greatest discoveries of my entire life's work. I have called it the mastermind principle, and it is this: durable wealth is born from silent alliances between intelligence and character. No man, no matter how brilliant, has ever risen to great fortune without the cooperation of other minds aligned in harmony with his own. The lone genius may dream, but only the unified group can build. When I studied the rise of Henry Ford, I found that behind his name stood a circle of brilliant engineers, designers, and financial minds, each bringing a spark of genius, yet bound together by one ruling idea: to serve humanity through mechanical progress. They met not to boast or to gossip, but to think, to turn imagination into form. Each respected the other's strength. Each added to a current of creative power that no single man could have produced alone. Likewise, Andrew Carnegie, the great steel magnate, attributed his immense success to his personal council, a group of trusted men he called his mastermind. They met regularly, not to argue, but to harmonize their plan. Each member was chosen not only for intelligence, but for integrity. Carnegie once said to me, "A man's fortune grows in proportion to the number of minds he can blend with his own in faith and purpose." That sentence alone could build an empire. You see, when two or more minds unite in perfect accord, they create a third mind, invisible yet powerful, which I have called the mastermind. It is a spiritual force, a mental chemistry that multiplies every resource. Where one man's energy ends, another's begins, and together they form a current that draws ideas, capital, and opportunity as surely as the magnet draws steel. Most people surround themselves with the wrong company: critics, doubters, talkers, and then they wonder why their plans never rise beyond conversation. But the wise man, the future millionaire, chooses his circle as carefully as his investments. He seeks not comfort but challenge, not flattery but truth, not noise but wisdom. You must identify three minds that complement your own. They need not be wealthy, but they must be honest, capable, and committed to growth. Each week, meet with them in quiet discipline. Set an agenda. Discuss your plans, your obstacles, and your solutions with full sincerity. Keep every meeting short, focused, and sacred. Before you begin, sit in silence together for 60 seconds. Let each man breathe deeply and turn his thoughts to one shared intention: the advancement of every member and the prosperity of all. This minute of unity is the spark that ignites the invisible current. Then speak your aims aloud and plan your actions. Do not gossip, do not complain, do not waste this sacred hour in idle talk. For when harmony reigns among great minds, even the heavens bend to assist. Remember, your fortune is limited only by the number of minds you can align without friction. Each true alliance adds a new instrument to your symphony of success, and the music of cooperation is heard far beyond your circle, attracting those destined to join your vision. Now close your eyes and picture those three allies. See their faces. Feel the shared strength that flows when your energies combine. You are no longer one. You are many, unified by a single heartbeat of purpose. Repeat softly with me: joined in purpose, we multiply power. Again, joined in purpose, we multiply power. For it is not isolation that builds empires, but intelligent cooperation. The man who understands this principle need never walk alone, for his allies, seen and unseen, will march beside him, turning thought into empire and vision into fact. The fourth rule is subtle, but it is one of the most powerful of them all. It is the law of vibration in speech. Few understand that the spoken word is not merely sound. It is a command to the subconscious mind. Every syllable you utter carries vibration, and that vibration shapes the conditions of your life. I have sat among men of wealth and noticed that they do not speak as others do. Their words are deliberate, calm, and directed. They never declare poverty, never rehearse limitation. never speak of themselves as victims of circumstance. Instead, their language carries quiet authority, not arrogance, but conviction. When they speak, they do not merely describe the world, they instruct it. You may not yet see how speech builds fortune, but the proof lies hidden in your own experience. Think of a day when you said, "I cannot do this," and felt your strength drain away, or a day when you said, "I will find a way," and suddenly energy rose from within. That was not coincidence. It was vibration responding to command. The universe itself is responsive, living, obedient to tone. Every word you speak is an order, every complaint a seed, every declaration a mold into which reality must pour itself. If you say, "I am always unlucky," your subconscious ensures that you are. If you say, "Money never stays with me," then money will obey and flee. But if you say with calm certainty, "Everything I touch improves," then even your smallest actions begin to prosper. The law does not judge your words. It merely fulfills them. The rich do not speak idly. They weigh their language as they weigh their gold, knowing that careless words scatter energy as surely as torn purses scatter coins. They understand that speech is a tool of creation, not complaint. I will give you a practice that will strengthen your power immeasurably. For 7 days, beginning tomorrow morning, take a speech fast. During these 7 days, you will abstain from 3 forms of self-destruction: complaint, criticism, and self-contempt. You will not complain of weather, work, or fortune. You will not criticize another soul, neither friend nor stranger. For in doing so, you poison your own creative current, and you will not speak against yourself, not in jest, not in frustration, not in false humility. If failure comes, say, "I am learning." If challenge appears, say, "I am growing stronger." If doubt whispers, answer it with, "I command my thoughts. My words are faithful servants." Keep a small note in your pocket or on your desk that reads, "My words are contracts with destiny." Glance at it often. It will remind you that every sentence you speak writes a clause in the contract of your future. When you feel the urge to complain, pause. Close your mouth gently and breathe through your nose. Imagine your tongue as a key, a small golden key resting behind your teeth. When you speak wisely, that key opens a great vault filled with opportunity. When you speak carelessly, it locks the vault tight. Can you feel the weight of that image? You hold the key to fortune within your mouth. Use it with intention. The wise learn to direct their vibration. Their tone carries peace even in challenge, gratitude even in lack, confidence even in uncertainty. And because vibration precedes manifestation, life responds accordingly. Every fortune begins as an unseen resonance, born of faith and affirmed by word. Every word, therefore, must serve your purpose or remain unspoken. Now repeat softly with me, letting the sound carry strength. My words are contracts with destiny. Again, with calm power. My words are contracts with destiny. Say it until you feel the truth vibrate through your chest. For if you learn to master your speech, you master your frequency. And when your frequency is pure, your world will rearrange itself to match it. Thus, the tongue becomes not a tool of reaction, but a weapon of creation, forged by discipline, guided by purpose, and consecrated by truth. The 5th rule is the bridge between thought and reality. It is the difference between those who wish and those who build. I call it the law of momentum. Move first, clarify later. Most men wait for the path to be clear before they act. They wait for permission, for perfect timing, for every detail to align, and so they wait forever. But the world does not yield to hesitation. It yields to motion. Action is the sculptor of clarity. You cannot think your way into certainty. You must move your way into it. The man who takes one imperfect step has already left behind the million who stood still, because movement, however small, summons resources that remain hidden from the idle dreamer. I once observed an inventor, a modest man not known to the world, who worked for years on a mechanical device. He hesitated constantly, changing plans, waiting for the perfect design, but another, younger man took his half-finished sketch, built a crude model, and brought it to life. It was rough, incomplete, even ugly, yet in that imperfect prototype lay the seed of genius. By touching reality, he discovered what pure thought could not reveal. The first man remained in theory, the second moved, and by moving, he discovered truth. The lesson is eternal. Motion precedes understanding. The road appears not to the thinker, but to the walker. The plan refines itself in response to courage. You will never feel completely ready. No man ever has. But the moment you act, forces unseen begin to align in your favor. New ideas appear. New allies emerge. New solutions unfold. This is the hidden law behind every great fortune. Progress rewards movement, not perfection. Think of a train resting at the station. To the eye, it appears lifeless, heavy, immovable. But when the engine begins to move even a few inches, something magnificent occurs. Momentum builds. Soon that same train that once seemed bound to stillness becomes unstoppable, roaring forward with the power of 1,000 tons of steel. So it is with your life. Your ideas, your ambitions, your dreams, all of them are trains waiting for a single push. The first turn of the wheel is the hardest. After that, movement carries itself. I have seen men of lesser intellect surpass their so-called superiors simply because they moved first. They did not overthink, they acted, and the act itself invited the wisdom required to continue. You must therefore practice what I call the one bold step daily. Each day before nightfall, take one deliberate action that advances your chief aim. It need not be grand, a letter written, a meeting arranged, a page completed, but it must be decisive. Record it each evening in your journal, and within a month you will see momentum building like a great river finding its flow. For the man who acts boldly each day, life cannot help but respond in kind. He becomes a center of energy, a force of direction. Doors open because he knocks. Opportunities appear because he moves. So I say to you, act, and understanding will follow. Do not wait for the way to become clear. The way becomes clear because you walk it. Faith is movement before sight. Now take a breath and feel your body lean slightly forward, as if your very soul were preparing to move. Repeat with calm conviction, I advance. The way advances toward me. Again, louder within yourself, I advance. The way advances toward me. You are no longer waiting. You are in motion, and motion is the rhythm of creation. The still mind may dream of wealth, but the moving man commands it. And once your momentum begins, not even the weight of doubt can bring you to a halt. The sixth rule governs the flow of all prosperity. It is called the law of circulation over hoarding. Few understand this principle, yet it determines whether money will remain in your life or quietly slip away. Money is not a thing to be possessed. It is a current, a living stream of energy that thrives only when it moves. To withhold it in fear is to dam the river. To circulate it with purpose is to expand its reach. I have watched many men rise quickly in fortune, only to lose everything they gained. Not because they lacked intelligence, but because they violated this law. They mistook money for a master rather than a servant. They clutched it tightly, fearing loss, and in doing so, strangled the very flow that sustained them. Let me tell you a story. In a small town there lived a blacksmith, a man of great skill but little prosperity. He worked long hours, saved every coin, and spoke often of his dream to build a larger forge. Yet no matter how hard he labored, the coins in his strongbox never seemed to grow. When customers came to him for credit or help, he turned them away. I must guard what I have, he would say, for times are uncertain. Years passed, and his business shrank. Tools rusted, orders slowed, and his once strong hands grew weary. Then one winter, a storm swept through the town, destroying the only bridge that connected it to the next village. The blacksmith saw his neighbors struggling to bring food and supplies across the icy river, and for the first time, his heart spoke louder than his fear. He took the money he had hidden away for years, the very savings he had worshipped, and used it to build iron supports for a new bridge. He labored through the cold, with others joining him, and when spring came, the bridge stood firm and strong. Trade returned to the town, and with it came abundance, for all, including the blacksmith. Merchants, farmers, and travelers crossed that bridge daily, and each in gratitude brought him new business. His forge glowed day and night. In giving, he had unlocked the current. Money flowed back to him in ways he could never have imagined. That is the law of circulation. When money moves through you with purpose, it multiplies. When it stagnates in fear, it decays. You must learn to be a steward, not a prisoner, of wealth. Hold it lightly, and it will return freely. Give consciously, and it will grow in strength. Invest wisely, and it will serve generations. Therefore, I give you this practice, one that has changed the fate of many men I have advised. From every amount that enters your hands, dedicate 10% to purpose, to service, upliftment, or contribution that expands life beyond your own, and dedicate another 10% to strategic reinvestment, the improvement of your tools, your craft, your mind. When you do this with gratitude, the universe recognizes you as a trusted channel and sends more through you. Keep a small journal, a ledger of gratitude in circulation. Each time you give, write what you gave, to whom, and how it felt. Each time you invest in growth, note the insight it brought. Soon you will see that giving does not diminish, it multiplies. The act of release creates the vacuum through which greater abundance rushes in. You may think, but what if I lose? You cannot lose by serving life, for life will serve you in return. Every generous act is a declaration of faith, a message to infinite intelligence that you trust its law of return. The miser is a beggar surrounded by treasure he fears to touch. The giver is a king who rules a flowing kingdom. The river of wealth knows only those who move with it. Now take a slow breath and imagine yourself standing beside a great river. See the water glimmering under the light, endless, powerful, alive. You cup your hands and take a portion, but instead of hoarding it, you release it gently back into the current. Watch it flow away, and moments later, see new water rushing in, fresher, stronger, more abundant than before. That is how life responds to a mind free from fear. That is how money behaves when it is respected as movement, not possession. Repeat quietly after me. As I circulate value, value returns increased. Again with conviction. As I circulate value, value returns increased. Remember, wealth is a living rhythm. Those who clutch it lose it. Those who move with it master it. To serve with intention, to invest with faith, to circulate without fear. These are the habits of men who never run dry. The seventh and final rule is the crown of all the others. It governs the bridge between thought and reality, between waking and dreaming. It is the night command, the law of autosuggestion and sleep learning. Each night before your eyes close, a sacred transaction takes place. The conscious mind, weary from its labor, hands the keys of command to the subconscious, and whatever words, emotions, or images you impress upon it in those final moments become its instructions until dawn. You see, the subconscious mind does not sleep. While your body rests, it continues its eternal work, shaping, arranging, responding, creating. It obeys without judgment, without resistance, without pause, and it accepts as truth whatever the conscious mind repeats with emotion. This is why men of purpose guard their final thoughts of the day with great reverence. They do not go to bed filled with worry or regret. They do not lie awake rehearsing defeat or scarcity. They know that what enters the mind before sleep becomes the architecture of tomorrow. So I say to you, each night, before you surrender to rest, perform this short and powerful ritual. It requires no more than 3 minutes, yet its effects reach into eternity. First, speak your definite chief aim aloud. Say it slowly. Say it as though you were giving a command to an army that cannot fail to obey. Feel the certainty of it. Let your voice carry authority, not hope, decision. For decision is the highest form of faith. Second, name 3 gratitudes, 3 specific things, no matter how small, that you appreciate from the day. A gesture, a lesson, a task completed, a breath taken in peace. Gratitude transforms fear into faith, and faith is the language your subconscious understands best. As you name each blessing, feel your heart grow lighter, warmer, more receptive. And third, deliver one clear order to your subconscious. It may be an instruction such as, reveal to me the next step toward my purpose, or strengthen my discipline and focus, or at dawn, fill me with the courage to act. Then, fall asleep trusting that the order is received, that the unseen forces are already at work in your favor. Do not question how or when. Trust the law. I once asked a great industrial leader how he solved his most complex problems. He said, I hand them over to my sleeping mind. When I awake, the answer is waiting on my desk. That is no accident. That is autosuggestion. It is the invisible assistant of every successful mind. Your thoughts, repeated with emotion, become identity. Identity repeated through action becomes destiny. And destiny begins each night, in silence, under closed eyes. Now I will guide you briefly through this nightly command. Close your eyes and take a slow breath in. Exhale softly. Allow your body to settle into stillness. Feel the weight of your hands, the rhythm of your breath. Now in your mind, repeat after me. I am the source. I am abundance. I act at dawn. Again, with greater certainty. I am the source. I am abundance. I act at dawn. One last time, let it echo through every cell of your being. I am the source. I am abundance. I act at dawn. You are declaring to your subconscious that you are no longer a seeker of wealth. You are its origin. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are giving command. When you awaken, act at once upon any idea, impulse, or inspiration that arises. It may seem small, but it is a thread leading you toward your greater design. Grasp it without delay. Do not waste the golden hour of morning in doubt. The mind, newly charged by night's creation, is most powerful in the first light of day. Use it, move, begin. For each night you repeat this ritual. You rewire your inner world. And as your inner world changes, so must the outer one obey. Before you drift into sleep tonight, remember this is not a wish but a command. You are not the dreamer, you are the designer. The subconscious is your faithful builder, and its workshop is the night. Now breathe deeply one final time and feel peace settle upon you. The work of creation continues as you rest, and when the dawn arrives, as it always does, you shall rise with purpose, energy, and calm, knowing that all of life moves with you. For you have spoken the command, and the law has already begun its work. Now, my friend, let us descend together into the quiet place where all true power resides, the silent chamber of your own mind. There is nothing mystical here, only the sacred science of attention, imagination, and faith combined. What I will guide you through now is not a dream, but a deliberate construction, the vault of quiet power, the inner sanctuary where your fortune is designed. First scene, the breath and the body. Close your eyes and breathe gently. Inhale through the nose and release through the mouth. Let each breath draw you deeper into calm awareness. Your shoulders soften, your jaw unclenches. Your chest rises and falls like the tide. Every muscle loosens its grip on the day. Now bring your attention to the crown of your head. With your breath, imagine a soft golden light descending from above. It moves slowly through your temples, your face, your neck. Feel it washing away the tension stored there. The light continues down the spine, through the heart, the stomach, the legs. Each exhale releases all thought of effort, all trace of fear. You are not striving now, you are receiving. You are entering the vault. The outer world fades into silence, and the inner world begins to awaken. Second scene, the golden corridor. Now imagine yourself standing before a vast door made of shining gold. Its surface glows with warmth, engraved with patterns that pulse like living fire. This door opens only to minds prepared by discipline and faith. As you breathe, it responds to your vibration, and slowly, silently, it begins to open. You step inside a long golden corridor. The air is still, heavy with peace. Along the walls burn lamps of pure white flame. Their light does not flicker. It hums with steady rhythm, as though the corridor itself were breathing with you. At the far end, you see a great chamber, a circular room of marble and light, and upon its walls are carved 7 symbols. These are the 7 seals of wealth, each representing one of the eternal laws you have now learned. You walk toward them slowly, reverently. As you approach the first seal, you feel a soft vibration, the resonance of decision. It glows with golden certainty, steady and unmoving. The second seal radiates the quiet power of integrity, the law of inner credit that builds trust within. The third hums with harmonious tones, the master mind, the unseen current of cooperation and unity. The fourth sings with subtle energy, speech and vibration, the truth that words shape the structure of your world. The fifth pulses like the heart of an engine, momentum, the sacred rhythm of movement and discovery. The sixth flows like water, circulation, the infinite dance of giving and receiving. And the seventh shines brighter than all, night command, the power of belief planted in the stillness of sleep. You stand before these 7 seals, and you feel their combined energy surrounding you, calm, intelligent, powerful, beyond measure. Third scene, the meeting with the shadows. From the far edge of the chamber, you sense movement. 3 shapes emerge from the mist, faint, trembling, uncertain. They are the personifications of your oldest illusions. The first is scarcity, thin and gray, clutching at empty pockets. It whispers, "There is not enough." You step closer and look into its eyes. You see that its fear was only your own disbelief reflected back to you. You reach out your hand, not in anger, but in compassion. As your palm touches its shoulder, light spreads from your fingers, and the shape dissolves, released, smiling as it vanishes. The second figure is shame, wearing the mask of unworthiness. It murmurs, "You do not deserve abundance." But you lift your head and speak firmly, "I was born to create, to serve, and to grow. Wealth is my responsibility." And with those words, the mask cracks, revealing a face of pure innocence before it fades into light. The third is guilt, hunched and heavy, burdened by the past. It whispers of old mistakes, of lost chances, of wasted time. You step forward and say gently, "I forgive myself. Every error was a teacher. Every moment brought me here." And as you breathe forgiveness, guilt releases its weight and disappears like smoke in sunlight. The chamber grows brighter. You stand taller. The silence that follows is not empty. It is alive. You are free. Fourth scene, the spirit of prosperity. Out of that radiant silence, a new presence begins to form. Tall, calm, glowing with golden light. You realize it is not a stranger. It is you, your higher self, your spirit of prosperity. The version of you who never doubted, never hesitated, never forgot who he was. He steps forward, smiling with calm recognition. When he speaks, his voice is your own, deeper and clearer. He says, "You have come far. You have remembered. The vault you sought was never outside you. It has always been within." He gestures toward a pedestal of white stone in the center of the chamber. Upon it rest 7 sacred symbols, the tools of mastery. He picks up the first, the golden key. It shines with decision. "This opens every locked door," he says. "Use it boldly." The second, the ring of alliance, gleams with intertwining circles. "This binds you to your chosen minds, multiplying your power." The third, a feathered quill rests in an inkwell of light. "This is the pen of contracts. Your word shall write your destiny." The fourth, a wheel in motion, spins gently, humming with energy. "This is momentum. Once you move, nothing can stop you." The fifth, a miniature river, flows within a crystal vessel. "This is circulation. Give freely, invest wisely, and the river will never dry." The sixth, a ledger of promises, bound in leather and gold. "This records your kept word. Each act of integrity adds to your treasure." And the seventh, a heart of pure light. "This is identity," the Spirit says, "the truth you plant each night in sleep. Guard it well." He places these symbols one by one into your hands. Each object melts into light and merges with you, the key into your mind, the ring around your heart, the quill into your throat, the wheel into your spine, the river into your veins, the ledger into your chest, and the heart of light into your soul. You are no longer a student of wealth. You are its embodiment, reprogramming. Now, as you stand within the vault, feel your entire being vibrating with calm strength. With each breath, a law awakens inside you. You inhale purpose and exhale doubt. You inhale decision and exhale fear. Repeat softly with your breath, one affirmation for each rule. "I decide, and the world obeys. I keep my word. Trust multiplies my wealth." Joined in purpose, we multiply power. My words are contracts with destiny. I advance. The way advances toward me. As I circulate value, value returns increased. I am the source. I am abundance. I act at dawn. Let each sentence flow with your breath. Inhale power, exhale limitation. Let the rhythm carry you deeper into calm until the chamber itself begins to dissolve into light, crescendo and closing. You are now standing in infinite brightness, weightless, ageless, limitless. The voice of your higher self whispers, "The vault is within you. You carry it wherever you go." You feel warmth in your chest, a steady golden pulse. It beats with quiet certainty, the eternal rhythm of creation, service and peace. In this stillness, you realize you will never again chase wealth. You will express it, generate it, become it. Take one final breath, slow and deliberate, and as you exhale, whisper to yourself, "I carry the vault within me." Now the chamber fades, the corridor dissolves, and the world begins to return. Before you open your eyes, speak softly this final instruction. "When I awaken, I shall take one bold step, because the moment you rise, you will act, and that action will seal the law into motion. Rest now, for the mind has been renewed, and the vault of quiet power, your true inheritance, is forever open within you. Let me tell you now, with quiet pride, the stories of those who applied these laws, not in theory, but in living practice. For knowledge, my friend, is but potential power. It becomes true power only when acted upon. These are not tales of magic, but of obedience to law, the laws we have unfolded tonight. Each life transformed became a living testimony to the principles you now carry within. Sophia, the artist who awoke her vision. There was a young woman named Sophia. She was a painter, gifted, passionate, yet imprisoned by quiet doubt. Her art was beautiful, but her belief was small. Each night she would whisper to herself, "I hope someone sees me." And so, life reflected back that same small hope, faint recognition, occasional praise, but never abundance. When she learned of the law of visualization, she made a vow. For 30 days before sleep, she entered her own vault of quiet power. She saw herself not as a struggling artist, but as a celebrated creator. She imagined her paintings hanging in bright galleries, her name whispered with admiration, her hand signing commissions she once feared to dream of. Night after night, she held this vision, breathing it into her soul. She spoke the affirmation, "I am the source, I am abundance, I act at dawn." By the second week, ideas came to her, new colors, new styles. By the third, she found herself invited to display her work at a local exhibition. By the fourth, every piece she brought was sold. Her income tripled that month. But more important than the money was the truth she discovered. It was never the world that doubted her. It was her own vibration. When she changed that inner current, the outer tide rose to meet her. That was Rule 7, the night command, made flesh through faith. David, the father who found calm and prosperity. Then there was David, a father of 3, a man worn by years of labor and quiet anxiety. He worked faithfully, yet the weight of bills, responsibilities, and fear of failure haunted his nights. His body slept, but his mind raced in circles of worry. When I met him, I said, "David, you are handing your subconscious the wrong orders each night. You are planting weeds and expecting roses." He listened, and from that day, he began the ritual of gratitude each evening. Before sleep, he would whisper his chief aim, then name 3 blessings from the day, even if small. A meal shared with his children, the warmth of his home, the strength of his hands. He replaced worry with thankfulness. Within weeks, his sleep deepened. His mornings came with unusual clarity and calm. His attitude at work changed. Quiet confidence replaced fear. And one morning, his employer called him in, not to scold, but to promote. "You've become a man I can depend on," the employer said. That was not coincidence. It was Rule 2, inner credit. When David kept his nightly promises to himself, the world began to trust him too. Prosperity had not arrived by chance. It had been built from the inside out. Amira, the widow who forgave and flourished. Amira was a widow who carried not only the loss of her husband, but also the heavy inheritance of generations who believed wealth was a curse. Her family taught that money corrupts, that modesty means poverty, that security is selfish. So she lived quietly, sewing garments by hand, never daring to ask for more. One evening, she listened as I spoke of Rule 6, circulation over hoarding. She realized she had been hoarding not money, but guilt. Guilt for wanting more, guilt for surviving, guilt for hoping. That night, she performed a simple act of release. She forgave her ancestors for their fear. She said aloud, "I honor your struggle, but I release your belief. From this night forward, abundance will serve me, not shame me." She began giving small offerings to neighbors, to children in need, and investing the rest into better tools for her craft. Soon, her designs caught attention in the local market. A merchant from the city saw her fabrics and placed a large order. Her business grew, her name spread, and she became known as a woman whose kindness was matched only by her prosperity. That was Rule 6 in motion, money circulating through service and purpose, returning increased. Marco, the merchant who mastered his word. And finally, there was Marco, a young merchant with restless ambition. He spoke often of grand plans, but his promises, though sincere, were rarely kept. He would say, "I'll deliver by Friday," and arrive the next week. "I'll repay soon," yet weeks would pass. His talent was vast, but his reputation was thin. I told him once, "Marco, No man can hold wealth if his words leak truth. So he began a humble practice, the ledger of promises. Each night he wrote down every promise made and every promise kept. He began to speak less, but fulfill more. He stopped declaring and started delivering. Months passed, and an astonishing shift occurred. Clients began to trust him. Creditors extended terms, and new investors appeared. "Why do they trust me now?" he asked. I smiled and said, "Because you trust yourself. You have rebuilt your inner credit, and the world reads it in your eyes." That was Rule 3, the law of inner credit, demonstrated not through words, but through integrity and motion. Each of these souls began as ordinary, but through application of law, they became extraordinary. Sophia visualized and received. David trusted and advanced. Amira forgave and multiplied. Marco disciplined his word and unlocked new doors. They did not merely learn, they obeyed, and the laws, being just and eternal, rewarded obedience with prosperity. I tell you this not to inspire idle admiration, but to remind you that you too are a testimony in the making. The same intelligence that guided them now listens to your commands. The same vault that opened for them lies within you, waiting for use. The only question that remains is, will you act upon what you know? For law favors not the clever, nor the loud, but the consistent, the faithful, the one who dares to apply truth until it shapes his reality. Remember their names when you doubt your own strength, and let their stories whisper to you as you drift into sleep. If it worked for them, it will work for me, because the law is no respecter of persons. Now, my friend, as this session draws toward its quiet close, let me speak to you with plain and sacred truth. You are no longer a beggar in the kingdom of wealth. You are its architect. The days of pleading, waiting, and hoping are gone. You have learned to think, to speak, to act as one who commands reality, not requests it. You have crossed from wishful dreaming into deliberate creation. The world you once feared is no longer your master. You are the designer of its form, the builder of its bridges, the keeper of its keys. Wealth no longer stands apart from you. It flows through you, answering your vibration, serving your direction. Remember what I have taught you. Action is the true measure of faith. No belief, no affirmation, no vision has power until it is moved through your hands, your breath, your steps. A single act of faith weighs more in the balance of destiny than 1,000 intentions unfulfilled. So I give you now a sacred challenge, a ritual of mastery. For 7 consecutive nights before sleep, perform the night command protocol. Speak your definite aim aloud. Name 3 gratitudes. Give 1 order to your subconscious. Then rest, knowing the unseen intelligence of the universe has already received your message. Do not skip, do not rush. Honor it as a ceremony. And for 30 days, perform the 1 bold step daily. Each morning, act upon 1 idea that advances your chief purpose. It may be small, a letter, a plan, a meeting, a decision, but it must be taken with conviction as proof of faith. 30 steps of this kind will move you farther than 30 months of hesitation. Remember, every repetition fixes identity. You are no longer a man rehearsing wealth. You are wealth rehearsing expression. Every choice, every breath, every movement now confirms the truth of what you have become. When doubt whispers, do not argue. Simply act, and the act will silence it. When fear stirs, do not retreat. Move, and fear will scatter before your momentum. You have built within yourself the vault of quiet power. It cannot be stolen, cannot be destroyed, cannot be lost. It travels with you, obeys you, and grows with your every decision. You are no longer shaped by the outer world. You shape the outer world through inner law. Now take a deep breath, and as you exhale, feel every cell of your being align in agreement. Feel strength rise within you, calm, unwavering, certain. And together, let us seal this new identity with a final declaration. Repeat after me, not as a request, but as a decree. I decide, I move, I circulate, I rise. Again, with the authority of one who knows, I decide, I move, I circulate, I rise. One last time, let it echo in your heart like the beating of a drum that wakes the sleeping world. I decide, I move, I circulate, I rise. Now let silence follow, for silence is not emptiness, it is confirmation. The law has heard, The seed is planted, and from this night forward, you no longer seek transformation. You are transformation. Go then and live as the architect of your fortune, the commander of your faith, the living expression of the law fulfilled. And now, before we part, I give you this final charge, the spark that turns wisdom into power. Knowledge, no matter how grand, remains sterile until it finds expression through action. You have traveled with me through the corridors of understanding. You have stood in the vault of quiet power. You have seen the laws, felt them, breathed them. Now they must be lived. Before this day ends, take one single action aligned with one of the 7 rules. It may be small, a decision made, a promise fulfilled, a letter written, a debt repaid, a bold request spoken, a gift given, or a plan begun, but it must be done. For the smallest action taken in alignment with law carries more weight than 1,000 noble thoughts unacted upon. Do not delay until the moment feels right. Action itself makes the moment right. Choose one of the rules, perhaps decision, if hesitation has ruled you, perhaps integrity, if you must rebuild your own trust, perhaps momentum, if your life has lingered too long in waiting. Whichever calls to you, answer it today, in deed, not word. If you wish, write upon a slip of paper the words, "I am ready to learn." Place it where your eyes will meet it before sleep. This small declaration, written with intent, acts as a signal to infinite intelligence, a pledge of readiness, a symbol that your will is active and awake. Your subconscious will recognize it as command, and from that moment, you will begin to see coincidences that are not coincidences at all. They are the response of law to movement. And now take a deep breath, stand tall, and feel the weight of this truth settle within you. You are not here to wait for fortune. You are here to move toward it, to create it, to embody it. From this day forward, do not measure success by wealth alone, but by the faith that moves you, the integrity that anchors you, and the purpose that drives you. And remember always the line that has closed my own teachings, the truth that stands above all hesitation and fear. Success does not come to those who wait. It comes to those who move. Now go and move with certainty, for the world bends, as it always has, to the will of the one who dares to act.